Gary V, is like produce 25 videos a day and get them all up, bro. Like,
yeah.
What are you waiting for, Nate? Like, you got 37 million, with one, post 37 more. I mean, why not go play the quantity game?
I disagree with when people say that kind of stuff. I just disagree with it. Mm-hmm. I'd rather put out my best possible work. If I don't feel like I'm doing a good enough job with it and I feel like I could have done better, then I end up not being proud of it. And then it's like, what's the point in doing work like that? Mm-hmm. I'm Nate Mall, the creator of Underbrush Gum, and you're on Behind the Brand with Brian Elliott.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the show. Nate, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
I usually ask my guests, how'd you get this job?
I made it. Created it.
Say more about that.
Well, I guess it would go all the way back to when I found out what was in Gumbase. And it was kind of a perfect storm of events. I found out what was in Gumbase. I had the worst toothache in my entire life, actually, to get my tooth pulled. And I would be driving to work. I couldn't get in for like a week. So I'd be driving to work and just tears in my eyes. I couldn't stop it. And just like, I have to make sure this never happens to me again. I finally got that taken care of. And around the same time, I was looking into mastic gum. I saw that there was a compound called nanohydroxyapatite. When I was looking through a new toothpaste, I saw that. And I was like, oh, this might be kind of an interesting concept that hasn't existed before. I saw, there were already natural gums out there, but no truly functional natural gums. And so I just kind of played around, blending in a few of those ingredients. I made a lot of bad gum. But when I thought I had something good enough, then ran a few ads, saw people wanted to buy it, which they did, and then kind of went from there.
Okay, so there's a lot there to unpack.
Yeah.
It sounds like you started this business like a lot of people do. They're trying to solve their own problem. You had a toothache. That's relatable for a lot of people. That's, one of the worst pains aside from ear aches and back pain. Mm-hmm. Like tooth pain is up there. And you thought that gum was the answer. That's off the path.
Yeah.
So I want you to say more about that. And then you found this ingredient. What is it?
Nanohydroxyapatite.
Nanohydroxyapatite.
Mouthful.
Which I think is more popular in other countries, according to how much I know. Like in Japan, for example, there's not fluoride in toothpaste. They use different ingredients for different reasons. Mm-hmm. But, okay, so let's go back in the chronology just a little bit to have some more context. So I don't want it to sound rude, but it's like, Nate, what gives you the right? Like, what possessed you to start this company from nothing without any prior gum experience, manufacturing experience? You know nothing about this space, and yet here you are, jumped right into it. Oh, no big deal. Just start a couple ads, and I'll make this thing from scratch. Like, did you even have any business background? Like, tell us about how you got here.
Yeah, I have some. I mean, I haven't really been employed for, coming on 15 years now, maybe. I've always just been doing something, and with every project that I've kind of put together, I found more things I didn't like about it and kind of narrowed down what I really wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And so if you go all the way back, I had a restaurant. Before that, I actually did kind of the same thing. I went into a restaurant naively thinking, oh, if I come here, maybe I can help, write some recipes. I really enjoy cooking. That's not how restaurants work. But the place I worked at, I was lucky enough to where the chef liked me and would let me play around with stuff. When he ended up leaving, I actually ended up taking over his position as executive chef. And then from there, went to having my own restaurant. And that's when I realized, I don't really like this that much. It's a lot of work, and you're not really going to get that far into it. And I don't feel like I was passionate about it, but I don't think that I was passionate enough to want to do it for the rest of my life.
Sure.
And so I was writing online at the time, producing copy for other brands, articles for blogs.
What year was this, basically?
This was probably 8 years ago, somewhere around that time.
Okay, so it's 2014.
Yeah, that sounds somewhat right.
Okay.
And I liked writing online a lot. I was like, oh, this is easy. I can do it at home. I loved learning about digital businesses, learn how to build websites, just kind of diving in. I would just sit at that with picnic bench for a dining table, at least at the time. And I would just sit there all day long, reading about online businesses, how blogs worked, and, anything in the digital space really, really piqued my interest. And so I had a point to where I was making more money doing that than at the restaurant. And then we had an opportunity to exit the restaurant. And I was like, let's just do this for a little while. And then after a while, I was like, I'm tired of writing for other people. And I'm tired of managing a website. I said, what I really want is maybe to make like a new product that hasn't existed before, or at least find a space where I could do something new. And so I dabbled around in other things. I did a bunch of kind of custom aroma manufacturing and formulation. And I call myself like a backyard chemist when it comes to that.
Yeah.
But I created stuff that was good enough that people would pay for it. And so I guess the culinary background kind of came into play there.
Yeah.
And then after that, I was primarily selling B2B, which is fine. But I felt like I could only do that so much. I could only grow so much. And then I was starting to get really, really bored again.
Let me just pause and just say, for all you other entrepreneurs in the room, is this relatable? This boredom, or like maybe you see a business that's not working and you pivot. These are some signals that might tell you that you may be an entrepreneur. I'm just saying, maybe.
Yeah, totally. I agree with that. And so after that, it's not really after that per se, because I still kind of do that like on the side in my free time, but I started dabbling around looking for other things that would interest me. I really love the idea of kind of finding like new topics and new products to create, something that's still kind of familiar but doesn't really exist yet.
Yeah. Did you ever have this, there's this term called imposter syndrome, right? Which loosely defined means, you're doing this thing, but you don't necessarily feel qualified to do it. Mm-hmm. Or you start second guessing yourself, like, wait a minute, no one really gave me a license to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been the story of my life. Like all the things that I've tried, no one ever gave me permission to do.
Yeah.
Nor did I feel particularly qualified or even more qualified than someone else. I just felt like I wanted to try it and do it. Thought I could figure it out. But like, did you ever struggle with that feeling of even, did you go to culinary school?
No.
No. But yet you got promoted into this head chef, running a restaurant, right?
Yeah.
You ever battle with that at all?
All the time. I think any kind of entrepreneur or even like artist deals with that.
Yeah. I
mean, I would consider myself more of like a creator artist first, because my first love in the world was like music. And I think that's kind of been a big asset for me, because to me, it's not so much about what I'm doing as long as I'm kind of getting to create something, and I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely struggle with imposter syndrome just like anyone else.
And what'd you do to push through it? Did you study up more? How do you get through it? What's your advice? Talk to these folks.
Honestly, I would say just who gives a shit? Just do it anyways. I mean, you're already more qualified if you're willing to do something, because most people won't do anything.
Yes. Well said. I love it. Okay, so, and what is that restaurant here in LA?
I was actually up in Santa Clarita. It was called the Black Square. It's long gone now. I mean, it survived for maybe another couple of years after we left, but yeah, it's gone.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you were in food, restaurant business, one of the toughest businesses. You had a little exit there. Then you started dabbling and using your creative brain, your creator mentality, whether that's creating a new recipe or creating an aroma, you're able to sort of make a go of direct-to-consumer kind of sales. And where'd that take you?
That's taken me kind of all the way to here. I mean, I spent a lot of time like reading up on stuff, and so that kind of helps. But with the gum, it was very similar to me to like writing a recipe. A formula is basically just a recipe anyways. And so once I got to break down what components are in natural gum versus synthetic gum, what new components haven't really been integrated into gum, and I get, these feelings when I have a good idea and I just know it because I can see that there's like all these kind of pieces in the market that fit together and there's nothing there right now. And I saw that with this product 100%. And so I just tinkered around a ton. Like I said, made a lot of bad gum.
Yeah. How did you even see gum as a white space or a place where you could disrupt the status quo? Because, I mean, the aisle or the end cap is full of these behemoth brands, the Wrigley's and we know all the brands that are dominant. And yet this is a total departure. How did you even see that as an opportunity?
I think one of the biggest things is most gum brands, they're so big that they're extremely focused on cost. And they only want their packs of gum to be like $2, $3, depending on kind of where you go. I never really saw any that were focused on ingredients until I discovered some natural brands. And they seemed more like just an alternative to regular gum, but there weren't any natural kind of functional gums. I think my first introduction into functional gums was I saw Neuro gum years back, and I thought, wow, that's a fantastic idea. I bought it, liked it, it was great. And then once I discovered what gum base was, I realized, oh, they have this kind of same ingredient. And I said, how come there are no functional, like natural gums? It seems only natural, right?
Mm-hmm. What's bad about the current gum on the market? If we go by what's one of these big Trident, for example, or Orbit gum, or any of the Wrigley brands, what's unhealthy or bad about what's in that gum?
It's pretty much all of it. Like if you look at on the back, the first ingredient will probably be sucralose, which tons of studies coming out with that linked to DNA damage. It can't even be decomposed by the earth, so it ends up in the ocean water, and there's some studies showing that it's disrupting the kind of like microscopic communities down there. Then the very next ingredient after whatever the main sweetener is going to be gum base, and gum base is just a mixture of plastic and rubber, polyvinyl acetate, butadiene, styrene, different plasticizers. There are around 40 ingredients that they can use to make gum base, but they don't have to tell you the exact formula for it. A lot of them consider like a trade secret, but it's all pretty much the same, just plastic, rubber. And then after that you have the usual suspects: aspartame, blue 40 or blue 3 or whatever they are, red 40, all the colors, artificial flavors.
Right.
It just doesn't really get any better after that.
Did you hear about the big revolt against, I think it was Kellogg's this last week on red 40? Are you seeing this?
I've been watching it. There's, what's his name? The guy that does that chocolate brand in the brown package. What is that called? Hue chocolate.
Okay.
Yeah, he posts about that a lot. I love following him on Instagram, but he talks about that a lot.
Yeah, there's like a huge revolt against the unhealthy dyes. If you don't know the story, whether it's the blue dye or the red dye, these are just like similar to toxic chemicals basically that we've been putting in our bodies. And I think Gatorade has it too. It's like all these unhealthy ingredients, and they're banned in Europe and yet allowed in the United States. So it's kind of ridiculous. Like if it's unhealthy, let's take it out. There's no, if they can make it special for the European market, they can make it healthier for the American market. So I think they have like over 500,000 people signed this petition, and they're lobbying to get it taken out. And I think the court of public opinion will win in this case. I think probably Kellogg's will kneel before the public and take it out. Yeah, I'm excited about that.
I think they should. And I was just talking about this last night actually over dinner. But my wife's sister travels a lot, and she was saying, oh yeah, the Orange Crush or whatever soda is over there, the ingredients is like this big, and they use orange juice to make it orange. But here it's like, same thing with the Kellogg's. You compare those EU versus USA, the ingredients list is massive.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And so you saw the unhealthy ingredients, and you thought you wanted to do it differently. So is it just a cost-cutting measure? I mean, I can corroborate that when I chew Trident or Orbit or one of these big gums, at the end of it just feels like I'm chewing a piece of cardboard. It tastes terrible. Like, and then let's dispel a myth. Like, if you swallow gum, does it stay in your system for 7 years? Do you know any science behind that? Is that true or false?
No, I don't think it does.
Yeah.
No, you have an issue if it is.
Okay,
Bigger issue down there.
Yeah. But apparently it's disrupting the ecosystem if it gets in the ocean.
Yeah.
So there's something inherently bad, unhealthy about that gum base.
Yeah. Well, when it degrades, it goes into the water supply as microplastics, and we end up with things like, how did the groundwater already have microplastics in it? It's stuff like that.
Yeah. And so it's easy to assume that that's getting into our body and our bloodstream as well. And so the gum base that you are using, how is it different?
It's all made with natural saps, and so we use a combination of chicle or chicle, spruce, and mastic, which spruce is actually America's first chewing gum. Used to just be as simple as spruce and honey with like a little bit of mint oil. I really loved that fact about it, and so I knew I had to include it, and it also kind of imparts a sort of piney, woodsy taste to the gum, which I really like. Mastic is very similar. It has a very strong flavor on its own. Most people won't chew pure mastic, but if you mix them together and you add in a sweetener, it becomes a really kind of pleasant thing to chew on. And after the initial mint flavor is gone, you're left with the more herbal kind of piney notes, and they're subtle. Some people can taste them. Most people can taste them. There are some people that can't, and once they get past the mint, they don't think there's anything else after. But I'm one of those people that just loves the natural sap flavor.
Yeah. Okay. And so I would assume that this gum base that you're using is easy to find, inexpensive to make, quick to make.
Not really. None of the above. It took me a while to find. The chicle is probably the easiest thing to find because there are actually a lot more people out there like harvesting it.
Yeah. Of course, I'm asking that with sarcasm. I've seen your videos where you're like hand mixing this stuff, and I know that it's expensive and labor intensive. Yeah. So I want you to elaborate on that process, because I think the handmade natural component of the process is really important.
Yeah. Well, the spruce, I actually was just buying some online from random shops here or there. They'd be able to sell like 100 grams, or maybe I get lucky and be able to buy like a half a pound. But for the most part, I just went into kind of like the foraging communities and people that live in Alaska. Do you guys harvest spruce? Is this something you'd be interested in doing? And got enough people on board where I can get like a mostly steady supply of it. Mastic is a little bit easier than that, but still kind of an issue because it only comes from a little island called Chios in Greece. And they only harvest it once a year. Actually, this year they had a natural disaster there, and it destroyed a lot of the crops. And so pricing's gone up on it, and it's also becoming a little bit harder to find. But I started buying just massive amounts of this because I knew that something might come down the pipe, and so I'm probably like the biggest importer of mastic gum right now.
Yeah, I would guess supply chain issues are a big deal, like in any kind of manufacturing process. And so your gum is not cheap.
No.
Yeah. Did you have any concerns about that? And like, how much is a pack? How much do you get compared to, like, again, let's go compare it to a little pack of Trident gum that has like 16 little pieces in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So at the smallest pack size, 2-pack, you're going to pay just under $20. So you're going to be a little over $9 per pack. The most common size, 4-pack, $32. I definitely had concerns about it being more expensive. I didn't have much to go on. There weren't really any gums at the time that had a similar price range. So I was just kind of, I hope people will buy it for this, because if they won't, then I can't sell it.
Right. And that's just a simple like margin issue.
Yeah. And now looking back on it, I honestly should have charged more. I think I was a little gun shy in the beginning, but I should have charged more because, supply and demand, I'm having a hard time getting all this stuff. And there are people, even in Australia that will spend $100 for 4 packs of gum. There are people buying, there's some fake listings of our product up, people spending $222 to buy 4 packs. Not saying I should charge that much, but I think I went a little too low in the beginning for how difficult it is to continually get supply of this stuff. And I have a staff of 35 people that I have to kind of make sure that they still have jobs all the time.
Yeah. So basically you're talking about a pack of gum that cost at least 3 times the normal cost, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so how are you reconciling that in your marketing? I mean, part of the interest in talking to you was how you do your marketing. So like if you're on TikTok and looking at your videos, I think I saw you when you had maybe less than a dozen videos, and maybe that's all you have now still, but they're in incredible view counts. Mm-hmm. So can you walk us through that, like how you decided to do your marketing? Because you look like this brilliant marketer, but then, the iceberg, the ice under the water, you're this mad scientist who's formulating this incredible, recipe. You're doing all the research. You somehow probably found a factory facility to do this. Like you're doing it all. But walk us through the marketing, because I think that's interesting too.
So, like I said, I've done a bunch of content writing. I've never really produced stuff that's gone like extremely viral because I'm mostly writing niche topics. Some videos like on YouTube that I shot and produced, maybe 300,000 views, top out like that.
For other people.
Yeah, for other people.
Yeah.
But I feel like I had a good enough handle on like what TikTok what people want, what makes good content in general. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I found a couple unique angles just from even the way I shot it, writing my script, the product in general is a unique angle. And so all these things kind of converge, and I knew that it was going to be a hit. I just didn't think it was going to be my first video, 5 million views out the gate. I thought I was going to maybe get 100,000 views, maybe 50,000. I would have been happy with that. It was my first time posting on the platform. I was thinking I'm going to have to, of course I'm going to have to learn a little bit. It's okay. It'll be fine. But that first video just ripped right out the gate. Mm-hmm. And then I made a few reply videos that I wasn't really doing anything, just trying to answer some questions in the comments. And I didn't even really have product to sell. Like at that time I had 2,500 individual packs of just test packaging. Doesn't look anything like it looks right now.
Okay.
But then that just was immediately gone in November, end of last year. And I said, okay, I'm officially going to launch this thing in January 2024. And then I started posting again, and each video just got bigger and bigger. They were just turning into monsters, 10 million, 15 million, 20, 25. I think my highest view video is like 37 million right now.
Unreal. And your face is not even in them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So break down, let's unpack that a bit. So you said you sort of had an idea of what TikTok wanted. What does that mean, and what does that look like?
I mean, they want the same thing that every platform wants. They want people to stay on the platform. They want them to be engaged. They don't want them to go text someone back. They want content so good that people will put everything else aside to finish whatever they're watching.
Okay.
And there are techniques to be able to kind of do that, but at the end of the day, the content still has to be good. It's like a Mr. Beast video, or Coco Lemon, or some of these little kids shows where there's a cut like every 2 seconds type of deal.
Yeah. Forget Jimmy. Mm-hmm. And let's talk about Nate.
Uh-huh.
So you have let's talk about your 37 million view video. So what are the components, if we were to unpack that? What has it got to keep you, interested in watching? What did you explain that video? What's in it? What did you do? Did you script it beforehand? Mm-hmm. Was it strategic? Was that the first time you posted, or several iterations? Unpack it for me.
That was probably the third viral video, but I'm kind of getting into that. I have an idea of the stuff I want to say. I don't necessarily write it all out and then kind of build a video around that. I kind of do everything sort of at once, all at the same time. And so I have an idea of what I want to say, how I want the video to look. But going back to what I was saying earlier, I knew I needed this to be kind of a fast-paced video.
Okay.
Something that's going to keep people drawn in, and then each shot needs to show something that's at least interesting or a little intriguing in order to get them to the next shot. But luckily, I have a product where the whole process of making it is something no one's really ever seen before. So
Right.
well, I have that naturally built in, that every shot is something unique looking that people are going to be interested in. And then I just try to write, a script over it, the final script, something that first tells the story, and I try to put as much value as possible in the front end of my story before I even talk about that the product's for sale. In that video with 37 million, I'm going over the history of spruce, and I go from this was America's most popular chewing gum to until big gum brands came and decided to water down the whole industry, and then eventually I lead them down that path through the story of the brand and also I have this product. But I think the highest liked comment on that is, I had no idea this was an ad, and it's got like probably a couple 100,000 likes on it. And to me, that's what's important, because if I can make people forget that they're watching an ad, that means I'm giving them enough value to not care, and then I'm also kind of building that goodwill with them. And at the end of the day, I'm being authentic, I'm telling the truth about what I'm doing, and I think people really like that.
I love it. Let me push back a little bit and play the other side of the coin, then you can help flesh this out even more. Because I know other people who are watching or listening, they've got their own brand or they've got their own product and they're trying to build it up like Nate's. So, all right, let's say I have a car company, and my engine is 500 cc's, 500 horsepower, and the color is amazing, and the fit and finish is fantastic, and I think this is valuable to my audience, but it's not getting 37 million views. So like, how did you decide like what's valuable to your audience? How do you even decide the value? How do you know?
I think I rely on kind of what I like a lot. I love kind of ASMR videos where, the chef's in the kitchen, they're just
Okay.
Those are fun. I mean, those videos always do really well. So in my mind, boom, that's a value point right there.
Okay, so you're pulling from your experience as a chef, knowing that people like to see how things are made, that it's a consumable product, so that's it's a little bit more intimate than a car, because you put it in your mouth. It's about as intimate as it gets. Okay, so there's that component. Okay, I got you. Continue.
And then I kind of mix in like the how-to aspect of it. I'm not necessarily explaining how to do it, but you can see everything that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And going back to what I was saying, because it's a unique thing, people don't know I'm making gum necessarily at first. They're just like, this guy's talking about gum, but what is he doing here? Okay,
so there's a mystery aspect where you're like keeping people, keeping their attention, but also holding the reveal before you say, ta-da, this is gum.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck's this guy? Because you're mixing is it the gum base that you're mixing?
The saps.
Yeah, and it looks like a big pot of sap. Talk about the production value, because I have to say, it looks very low production value. So is that by design, or is that just like, that's all I had, so that's what I did?
No, 100% by design. I mean, I've shot beautiful videos, nice camera, spent a lot of time just making sure everything was perfect. But that's not what people on TikTok want. If a video looks too good on TikTok, it's likely going to perform worse than a video where it's just holding a phone.
Yeah, it looks sus, right? Like, they're like, oh, what's happening here?
Yeah, people want it to look raw.
Yep.
And
did you shoot it on an iPhone or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you have lighting? It doesn't look like it. It's like you said, like fluorescent lights.
Yeah, that is fluorescent lights. That's what's on the ceiling.
Yeah, it just looks like a back of the kitchen. You know.
Exactly.
There's no set design.
And that's exactly what I wanted. I think that's what people like, or I know that's what people like, at least on TikTok platform. And for me, that works great because, okay, I don't have to spend hours setting up a shot or doing anything. I'm just going to come here, make the gum, have a little bit of, thought into what I'm doing, zooming in on certain things if I need to. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I try to make what I'm saying kind of the most important thing because I want people to listen to it. And then the visual is just to kind of help keep attention and keep them intrigued.
Yeah. So it's a show and tell, more show than tell.
Mm.
And did you employ the Jimmy strategy of quick cuts every 2 seconds, and you were very deliberate about what you were showing, but you knew you had to cut every couple of seconds just to keep the pace? Is that how you edited it?
I listen more to the sound than the kind of cuts.
Okay.
I like the way, kind of like with ASMR, I like the way the sounds go. They're kind of sometimes rhythmic, ding, 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 bing, like something like that.
Right.
Like,
There's a cadence to it.
yeah, exactly. And it's just, just like making music. I enjoy that part. And I know that if the sound is interesting, the cuts are most likely going to be interesting too, depending on like what I'm doing. As long as the sort of sequence is right and I can get the sound to sound right, it's going to look great like almost 99% of the time. But yeah, quick cuts are important.
Okay, more production questions because I'm a production guy. So shot it on iPhone. Did you edit it in phone, like on CapCut, or did you edit it somewhere? How'd you edit it?
Just CapCut, but yeah, on the computer, it's easier to do it on there, a little bit faster.
For sure. Were you in Premiere or Final Cut or?
No, just CapCut.
CapCut on the computer, okay.
Yeah, and I've used Premiere, but I don't know if this is true, I felt that TikTok is probably favoring videos that use CapCut. That was just a guess. I don't know if it's true, but CapCut's easy enough. Like I said, I'm not producing anything like insane production value.
Okay.
And so
are you using all the sounds that are within CapCut? Is that's the world that you're living in to produce them?
Yeah, just whatever sounds end up getting caught on film.
Okay. So it's sort of like one-stop shop for you. It's efficient. You think maybe the algorithm favors that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. And then how long did it take you from the time you shot it to the time you edited it and posted? What was that turnaround time?
That video with 37 million views, I probably did in like a day and a half.
Okay.
Shooting and editing. And then other videos, I'll get stuck on like the script because I have to be able to fit it in under a minute and 30 seconds. I at least try. That's what I shoot for. And there are all these things that I really feel like are important to say that I don't want to leave out. And so at the end of it, sometimes I get stuck like, what am I going to pull out of here? Like what? I don't feel like I can take away anything from this without it damaging it. And, it's like the perfect piece of art is like the most minimalist form. Like what?
Well,
can you
it's
take
everything
away?
you need and nothing you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I struggle with that towards the end because I'm like, I don't know. I feel like this is pretty valuable. I probably shouldn't cut it out. But I'll sit on a script for like a week sometimes because of that.
Mm-hmm. What hasn't worked? What have you been surprised about not working, and then what have you been surprised that has worked? I know that like this is the holy grail. We're all chasing it as marketers, or if you have your own product or brand and you want it to fly off shelves or fly off wherever you're selling it, you want it to pop like that. But like, what have you been surprised that you've tried and hasn't worked, and then what the opposite of that?
That's a tough one.
Like this should have totally gone, but it didn't, flopped. Or have you had no failures yet?
I don't want to say I haven't had no failures because I've had lots of other types of failures, but with the content, I have 12 videos, I think, and almost all of them, well over 1 million views.
They're all bangers.
Yeah. I did have one video that I was a little upset didn't go well, but it's because I got a violation on it. So that one only got 4 million views. So that would probably be my biggest disappointment out of that.
Okay. Why only 12? So it's like you would think the conventional advice, if you're listening to someone like Gary Vee, is like produce 25 videos a day and get them all up, bro. Like,
yeah.
What are you waiting for, Nate? Like, you got 37 million, with one, post 37 more. I mean, why not go play the quantity game?
I disagree with when people say that kind of stuff. I just disagree with it. I'd rather put out my best possible work than put out something that is just like, okay, I'm playing the quantity game, because then if I don't feel like I'm doing a good enough job with it and I feel like I could have done better, then I end up not being proud of it, and then it's like, what's the point in doing work like that? But yeah, I just disagree with that kind of approach. And TikTok typically wants you to play the quantity game, and they call me all the time and say, you should really post more videos or people are going to lose interest.
They're reaching out to you? Like, is it like a bot, or is it someone from HQ?
No, I have a couple different reps now. I mean, because the brands hit like a certain tier in the business section.
Yep.
And so I have reps.
Yeah.
And
no, we have a YouTube rep too, so I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like, I don't even know if I should be saying this. I feel like sometimes they're not as much reps as they are bosses.
Yeah, or sales agents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just want you to sell more. They don't help you as much with some things I feel like they should do.
That's a fair criticism, Nate.
Yeah.
And there's no, I mean, even if they are listening, that's something actually they should hear.
Yeah.
Because if they have different intentions, like, oh, I'm here to cultivate and nurture Nate and help him grow his business, and you don't feel like they have your best interest in mind, they should hear that.
Yeah.
That's a fair criticism.
Well, I just got a new rep, and so I didn't want like her to feel bad.
Yeah. Again, I think that's healthy, constructive criticism, constructive feedback. If I were your rep, I'd want to hear that.
Yeah.
Especially if I was like, man, I really want to help Nate, and then that's probably how she feels.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I felt that way at YouTube too, and we love YouTube, but it's like we also know that when any platform is free, whether that's Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, if it's free for you to use, you're not the customer.
Yeah.
You're the product.
Yeah.
So, just bear that in mind, right? Like you are their product. Without you, they'd be nothing.
Yeah.
They don't create anything. They just facilitate creators.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. So they want you to make more, but you're saying no. You're focused on the quality game, not quantity.
And I would say I would probably post more if I wasn't building the company the way I am. A lot of e-commerce people, they have the luxury of outsourcing the manufacturing. Cool, let me know when it's here, and then they can just 100% focus on marketing. Their first hires are always people on the marketing team or managing the marketing side.
Yeah.
My first 35 hires were manufacturing. I'm the only person that does anything on the digital side other than a customer service rep or 2 customer service reps and a VA. And if I had found a solid manufacturer in the beginning, I think I would be putting out more content, but I got to kind of balance it. And, I just don't want to push out stuff just for the sake of doing it.
Yeah, and you're also regularly sold out of products, so there's no reason to advertise something that's sold out, because then you just annoy customers.
Yeah.
Okay, fascinating. I mean, what you just said is very true about growing the infrastructure and growing at the proper pace. A couple of episodes ago, we had Daniel Weiner on, who started that brand Hexclad. And if you are a chef and you maybe know those pots and pans with the hex, and, he's growing it into $1 billion brand.
Yeah,
partner with Gordon Ramsay, and he talked about his vision to do direct to consumer too, and had a huge learning curve. So you say you've hired 35 people. That's amazing. You started this company officially. We're in November of 2024, so it sounds like 11 months ago you officially started.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like 0 to 100, like you're got the foot on the gas. What kind of revenue numbers are you doing? You're kicking ass.
Gosh. This month we're probably going to do 2 million. Last month we did 1.3. Month before that 7. Month before that, we're basically doubling every single month so far.
Okay. Do you have any of the big brands coming after you, or like any outreach, or like I'm thinking of that Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the candy Spies. Like, do you have any of those people, like of the 35 people that you've hired? Are there like, you have to be careful with security and like,
no.
Well, are the recipes top secret?
Well, everyone signs an NDA. They actually sign 2 different ones. But when I post for jobs, at least for the manufacturing side, I post kitchen jobs. So I'm looking for like a sous chef.
Yeah.
Looking for a chef de cuisine, because those are the same skills that you're going to need when you come in here anyways.
Yeah.
And so you won't find like an Underbrush hiring post anywhere.
Yeah. And if the resume says, previous experience, head of marketing for Wrigley's, it's a no-go probably.
Yeah, probably no, unless they're a defector.
Yeah. That's true, yeah. You can't be too careful these days, though. I mean, there's a lot of spies, a lot of. I mean, $1 to $2 million a month from 11 months ago. You trying to figure this out is pretty remarkable. Good job, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love these stories, and that's why I was so compelled to talk to you and really understand how it works, because it is. Does it surprise you?
Yeah, sort of. Like, the thing is, I don't, like, I'm just not impressed, I guess, is what it is. I know we're still in the beginning and we have so much work to do.
Yeah.
I'm very aware of all the things that can come after and how far people can actually get. And all I can think about really right now is the work that needs to be done. And so...
And what work is that?
Growing the company, finishing the build out on our new facility.
Okay, so you're building a factory.
Yeah, hiring some help.
Yeah, that's cool. When did you start thinking about building a new factory? How far in?
Oh, January.
Okay, right away.
Yeah.
So were you like renting a place or like?
Yeah, renting, and then I have a partner in Kansas, one of the only people that really make natural gums here. Older guy, great guy. I flew out and saw him. He kind of helped me manufacture stuff for us as well. And that's been a huge help. But this new factory is going to be the end-all, be-all for us. Well, at least for hopefully another 3 years.
Yeah. And did you have to get, did you get any venture? Did you go for capital? Is it all self-funded, bootstrapped? How did you approach it?
Yeah, bootstrap. I've had a decent amount of people reach out. But it's called Nathan and Sons, not Nathan, his investors, and Sons. We'll have to deal with it later.
Okay.
Yeah, at least that's what I like to keep it at for now.
So it's a family business.
Yeah, that's the dream. My kids are like 3 in a year and a half, so.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're building an empire. Awesome. Which leads me sort of to my next question, which you sort of already answered. Like, do you ever think about an exit at some point? Like, what amount of money, Nate? What's it going to take to sell this company? How much would you sell it for today?
I'll preface by saying that I want my kids to have to deal with that problem, not so much me.
Okay.
But, I mean...
What would it take for someone to write a check? Well, it doesn't matter like what you think it's worth today. But like, what's the number on that check that someone's got to write?
I don't know if it's necessarily a number. I think it would have to be like maybe the right person or group, because there are good people out there with money or venture capitalists that will do the kind of the right thing. Probably very few, but I think if I trusted them enough that they had good intentions, I don't want to go kind of like the native route or some of these other brands that get picked up like Burt's Bees and
right.
All their ingredients just get destroyed. That's the one thing I'm trying to protect.
Okay.
So if there was the right fit and I knew for certain, maybe it's just me being on the board or I don't know how that really looks, then maybe it's a possibility, but I don't think it's a number thing.
Okay, so it's the integrity of the brand, the ingredients, the vision.
Yeah.
So Gordon Ramsay, here's this, reaches out and he says, Nate, all right, I got an offer for you. I agree to all your terms. We won't change the ingredients. I'll write you a check for $25 million. I want 100% of the company. Are you out?
Probably not, especially not right now.
Yeah.
Man, I got so much stuff to do first.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you're doing $2 million a year with a valuation of times 5, I mean, my math is right. That's 25 times another 5. I mean, you're in the multiple tens of millions of dollar valuation potentially.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome for 11 months, man. That's congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm so happy for you. And the product is fantastic. I mean, I bought it off the TikTok shop before we even met.
Oh.
And if you know me, I have on a regular basis, I have a couple things, at least my kids know, I have something in my pocket. It's usually chapstick.
Yeah.
Yep. And then I have got some gum probably either in my pocket or in my car somewhere, the glove box or the center thing. And then I have my keys. Yeah, and that's about it. So I've been a gum chewer, gum fan since I played baseball. And since I didn't do like the tobacco I didn't really do seeds that much because the shells always got stuck in my teeth. I would do gum. So I've been chewing gum since, I was 6, 7, 8 years old playing Little League.
You're a hardcore gum chewer.
Hardcore.
Are you like a chew a piece for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, or just like little bursts?
That is a good question. Sometimes when I'm editing these videos, I will find myself editing for a number of hours and then not even think of the fact that I've been chewing gum. I've just been chewing it sort of, to either quell anxiety or stress or to, I've just got it there and I didn't recognize it. So sometimes I'll chew it for a long time. And sometimes I want it for taste. Like cinnamon's my favorite flavor.
Interesting.
Yeah. I used to be a big red gum chewer until I found out that it was garbage. That it was just full of sugar and the red 40 and all that. So I had to ditch that. So I was really happy to discover your product and again became instant fan, but bought it off the TikTok shop. By the way, TikTok shop is sort of this mysterious area. Was it difficult to set up?
Back when I did, it was like a little bit difficult. It seems to be harder now. I see more people kind of struggling with it. I still don't think it's as hard as Amazon. Amazon, it depends. I guess it depends on what you're selling, but...
Can we buy Underbrush on Amazon?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Where else can we buy it? Like, you have a website and it's like DTC style, like Shopify site or something?
Yeah, just TikTok, our website, preferably Etsy, which is usually out of stock. But that's all for now. We have an Amazon listing built, but I don't think I could take another channel right now.
Yeah, you've got too much demand. We were talking off camera about flavors. So what are the 2 flavors we've got now? You got cinnamon or cinnamastic, and then mastic mint. Mint.
Yeah. And then, go ahead.
Well, what do you got coming down the pipeline? I'm excited for what else is coming.
So we have, for all the people that are purists, kind of like me, we have probably a couple other things that are going to be more purist lines. Honey, which is going to be sweetened with honey, some honey powder, pinch of cinnamon, a little bit of scraped vanilla bean. And then I have a pure sap flavor that I'm hoping to do shortly after that, where it's just going to be natural saps, a little bit of sweetener, no added flavor. I'm actually surprised at how many people asked me for that. I thought I was the only one that really liked to chew that kind of stuff. And then we, of course, have a crowd pleaser, which is going to be like a berry, like summer berry type flavor.
Okay. As a chef, as a scientist, putting flavors together, are you looking in other markets? Like, how are you getting inspired with flavors? As an example, I've worked and lived in Japan, and they have a really fun array of flavors in Japan. Even flavors that you wouldn't imagine. Like, for example, our root beer to them is how their medicine is flavored. So like when oh yeah, I would love good root beer float. They're like, it tastes like medicine.
I can see that.
Yeah. But, so it's just different across different cultures and countries. But are you looking to other countries and other places for inspiration, or you're just intuition, or how does that?
A little bit of intuition, but I listen to what people say they want. I mean, there's what I want, what the people want, and then the overlap is kind of what I focus on. And so...
You ever have that, sometimes I'll go into these old candy shops, and they've got, like, Beeman's. You know what Beeman's is? It's a brand of gum that was popular, I think, in the...
Oh, yeah. Like the old school looking stuff.
The old school looking stuff.
Yeah.
They have some pretty funky flavors.
Like licorice.
They have, like, one that's black licorice, yeah. And another one, what's the traditional flavor?
So disgusting.
The Beeman's flavor I like is cloves.
Clove, okay.
Yeah. I think it's a very nostalgic, old-fashioned kind of flavor. That would be my wish. Like, make me a clove flavor. That'd be great.
I could do one just for you and send it down. I don't know if we'll go with that like full-blown launch.
It's probably not what would be wildly accepted or like the bestseller, but I love those like off the beaten path flavors.
Yeah.
Even like banana or something like this, different,
Yeah, banana is one of those hard flavors to like make without using synthetic ingredients. Berry's much easier. Banana.
How about citrus? Would you remember the old Gator gum, the Gatorade gum?
I just bought some of that actually.
Yeah. Or the big league chew. I'm thinking about now my little league days. Like some of those grape flavors are so flavorful. Probably again terrible for you with all kinds of chemicals in them. But
I bought one off eBay last night, the Gator gum, just to add to my collection.
What flavor was it? Red, yellow, orange?
I don't know. I just saw it said Gator gum, and I was like, I have to have that.
Yeah, I just thinking about it, my mouth starts to water. But if you could have something citrusy that was also healthy, even like a lemon. Now I'm thinking like
citrus is good. Definitely, probably in the top contenders after like berry. That's a good like kind of mainstream one that I personally would like. Maybe like a lemon ginger.
Ooh, like yes. Lemon ginger, with a little bit of a kick.
Yeah.
I like it. So this show is called Behind the Brand. We talk about building brands a lot here. People come here to learn how to build their brand. It's a two-part question. So, like, what is a brand, in your opinion? And then what is the Underbrush brand?
A brand, I feel like, at least for me, it's just a reflection of myself. Like I always, in anything that I build, it's just a part of me, and I feel like Underbrush is really just exactly that. Some people build brands just to, maybe exit, sell to private equity, or, for any number of reasons. But I have a hard time building things that stray away from who I am, and so everything from like the packaging. Obviously the name, but the ingredients and everything I talk about is just, that's me in a box.
And so how would you describe the Underbrush brand?
I'd say natural, of course, a little feisty, caring, and just, I don't know, authentic. Because it's just me at the end of the day, behind the camera. No one's going to really take that part over. No one's going to say anything that I don't feel like saying. And so, it's just me.
I love it.
I mean, we were just sitting back, chopping it up, reminiscing about the good old days and all that. Tracking my roots, where I came from and where I'm going. But like I say, man,